Learning today is sponsored by Rachel Bornstein in memory of her father, Shlomo ben Yechezkel Shraga. To sponsor a day of learning, go to mishnah.co/support.
We are on Shabbat, Perek Kaf Bet, Mishnah Aleph. First Mishnah, 22nd chapter, Masechet Shabbat. So we're going to talk about, the Mishnah says, a chavit shenishbera. Let's say I have a barrel of wine and it's broken and it's spilling out. So how much can I save? The Mishnah says, I can save enough wine or food or whatever it is for 3 meals. And I say to other people, come save food for yourselves. As long as you don't soak it up, because what we're afraid of, you're going to squeeze out of the thing, and that's going to be an isur of schita. Now this is reminiscent of, if you recall, I hope you do recall, Perek Tat Zayin Mishnah Bet, where we said if there was a fire in someone's house, you're similarly allowed to be matzilin mazon shalosh seudot. You can only save food for 3 people. And the reason we were afraid is because if a person was bahul al mimono, if you can't save everything, because we said the reason was there, if a person could save everything he wanted to, we would be afraid shadam bahul al mimono. He would be like freaking out about the loss of his money. The isharitlan, if you left him save more, ati lichbuye, then he would put out the fire. So the same is true here. The Kahati says that if you let him save the entire amount, then he would instead, if you let him save as much as he could, he would be so bahul, so freaking out about losing his money, that maybe he would come to fix the chavit. That's what the Taz says. The Kahati says, the Taz says. Or maybe he would bring kelim from Reshut HaRabim. So therefore they only said, you can only save mazon shalosh seudot. Each person can come and save mazon shalosh seudot. And if your friends are nice people, they'll give it back to you. Next halacha. Ein sochatin et haperot lahotzi mehen mashkim. You're not allowed to squeeze fruit in order to derive liquids. But v'im yatsu me'atzmam. And if they came out on their own, asurim, that's prohibited. Why is that? Let's look at the Bar Tunura. Ein sochtin ad haperot. Havile mifarek. Mifarek is to remove something that's inside of something else. To tolda didash. It's a tolada. It's a subcategory of dash, of threshing. So that's why you're not allowed to squeeze fruit on Shabbat. But v'im yatsu me'atzmam. And if let's say I have grapes and I left them on a plate and then they dripped on their own, the Tanakama says asurim. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, if I left the food as ochel, as food, hayotze mehem mutar, then I don't want liquid to drip out of it because I want to eat it. Okay, and when it drips, that means it's becoming less valuable, less edible, whatever. V'im l'mashkim, but if I intended to use this fruit for liquid, for juice, then hayotze mehen asur. Then what comes out of them is asur, is prohibited. Let's look at the Bar Tunura for a second. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda says, if they're ochalim, if I save them, then I say mutar. Why? Delo nichalei b'masha zavu. I don't want liquid to drip out. V'leka lemigzar b'hu shama yischot. And I'm not afraid shama yischot. But if it's mashkim, if I saved it for mashkim, then I'm afraid gzeira shama yischot. Okay, so the Bar Tunura says the following. This is based entirely on the Gemara. B'zeitim ba'anavim, if talking about, now in the times of Chazal, these 2 types of fruits, zaitim, olives, and anavim, those are the primary fruits that they use for juices. They would never waste an apple or an orange, if they even had them, on juice. They had zaitim and anavim. Okay? And zaitim anavim, olives and grapes, they were miyuad, they were primarily grown in order for their liquids. So Rabbi Yehuda agrees that in zaitim anavim, he agrees, even if you save them for food, you're saying mehem asur. Okay? Because kamo, kevan, de darkan, the schita, they're there to squeeze. Shar minei peirot, other fruits, meaning most fruits, cucumbers, are not there for their juice, whatever, pick another fruit. In their times, apples and oranges, but whatever. Modim chachamim Rabbi Yehuda would agree, the chachamim would agree. You never squeeze them. Let's say, watermelon. They had a melon, you don't really have melon juice, you never squeeze it. Lo nechelku, the Gemara says, where do they argue? Tutim v'rimonim. Berries and rimonim. Sometimes they would squeeze them and sometimes they wouldn't. The Rabbi Yehuda medamilu lahar shar perot. Rabbi Yehuda says it's like other fruit. V'chachamim medamilu zaitim b'anavim. The Chachamim said it was like zaitim b'anavim. As I often do, I made you a chart. So what did we say? We said mei peruchi yatsu me'atzmam. So we saw a machloket in the Mishnah. Chachamim say asur. Okay, Chachamim said in the Mishnah, let's go back to the Mishnah. Chachamim said, Im hayatzu me'atzmam asurim. That's what Chachamim said. Okay, and Rabbi Yehuda said, Im lo'chlim hayotze mehem mutar. And the Bartanura said, based on the Gemara, so that in the case of Zaytim va'anavim, everyone agreed that it was asur because even if it's food, Zaytim va'anavim, grapes and olives and grapes, they are darkan the schita. And everyone agreed, shar minei peiro, like melons, mutar, because they're not schita. But the only argument in this Mishnah really was tutim v'rimonim, i.e., berries and rimonim that were sometimes eaten and sometimes squeezed. So now you ask yourself, what about today, where people normally, like orange juice, for example, is often squeezed? Would they have the din of tutim and rimonim? I don't know. That's what you have to ask your rabbi. Final halacha. Chalot dvash. If I have cakes of honey, they would crush them, and then the honey would come out. You can't be merasek. You can't crush them on Shabbat. But riskan me'erev Shabbat. You crush them before Shabbat. V'yatzu me'atzmam, and then on Shabbat, the honey flowed on its own. Asurim. You can't benefit from them on Shabbat. Okay? And even though if the honey, because, one second, it would be Rabbi Eliezer matir. Rabbi Eliezer says no, if they float on their own, they're permitted. Why? Okay. Rabbi Eliezer says, Ein derech v'sachto, you're not going to squeeze it. And the Chachamim say, Gazru atu she'ein merusakin. We're afraid maybe you'll have uncrushed cakes and you're going to crush them on Shabbat. So therefore Chachamim said, even if you crush them before Shabbat, nonetheless, if the honey flowed out of them on Shabbat, it's asur. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, email me at rspolter@gmail.com. I will dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.